You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's the most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Chelsea University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert and Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 31 years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on the MTN to join. And St. Thomas Eye Hospital, providing excellence in eye care. So we are talking about your bond situation, but more importantly, an economic situation. Broke creditor, broke debtor in a broke economy. And we're looking at how to manage the obligatory voluntary debt exchange. It's said to be voluntary, but is it really voluntary? Now, let me bring on my other guest. And as you know, Senor Jose is convener, Individual Bondholders Forum. Elikplimi Komla Agbloyor is Associate Professor, Department of Finance, University of Ghana Business School. Dr. Edu Entry is convener, Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and former Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Dr. Kingsley Kwesi Kwabeson is Chief Executive Officer, Ghana Insurers Association. Now, I'll go to the Associate Professor. Elikplimi, thank you very much for making time to join us. And I took the trouble in the course of this week. I've tried to read some scholarly work on, debt exchange issues, voluntary sovereign debt exchange matters. And I've read some rather very interesting, scholarly work that give a very grim situation of the process and after the process. This country will not be the same after this process, will it be?
Well, it does. Thank you for the question once again. So it does depend on how the process is actually handled. If it is handled very well, we could actually come out of this and the country will be in very good shape. So if you look at the Jamaican example, initially bondholders experienced an NPV loss of between 10 to 15%. Okay, so they lost some money, but before the program was over, in a few years, they had recovered their investment and actually made gains. And that improved their capital position and improved their balance sheet position. So it depends on how the program is managed. If there's a lot of consultation, if the balance sheet needs of economic agents like banks are taken into consideration, pension funds are taken into consideration, then we can actually come out very well out of this program.
When you say in a few years, what do you mean? In the debt exchange program, we are looking at, the new bonds that are going to take to 2027, 2033 to mature. 33.
38.
To mature. 38 rather, to mature.
Yes.
And we have heard people who say, I won't live up to that time, and I have programmed my life on the interest that I get from the money I have put here. So basically what you are doing is you are snuffing life out of myself and perhaps several other dependents. So when you say few years or within a short time, what do you mean?
Okay, so the program as it is, I think, is not well designed. So if you look at the NPV losses that investors are likely to suffer, on the average, it's about 77%. That's a huge loss. Okay, in Jamaica, it was 10 to 15%. Again, in terms of the maturity, okay, in Jamaica, they did the maturity extension from about 4 years to about 8 years. Here, we are extending the average maturity from about 2027 to 2038. So that's a 10-year extension. Again, in terms of the interest rate being offered, it is very low. Okay, so the average coupons on the bonds that are being restructured is about 90% thereabouts. But when we computed the yield to maturity on the new bonds, they're actually offering about 7.7 Okay, so there's a huge reduction in the interest rates that are being offered to investors.
This year was supposed to be zero interest. Now we understand it to be 2% interest, correct? No. I misunderstand. Educate me.
Okay, so from the new terms that I have seen is 0% in 2023, then I think we have 5% in 2024, and then from 2025 you have the coupon rates increasing from I think about 9% to 10.6% in 2038. So those are the cash flow structures that have been offered on the bonds based on the 24th December deal the government proposed to investors.
Okay, let me hear from the insurers. I'll return to you as we look at the global picture.